Okay, episode 7 of Dark Matter, titled In the Fires of Dead Stars. Before we get started, Luke, I know you have some shouts for some of our listeners/viewers.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening, but our interactions have been exploding with this show. And this most recent episode, talking about episode 6 last week, we had so many comments in both the Discord with great discussions, YouTube, just all around. People have been reaching out, loving the content that we're putting out there, and also just the show itself, which I'm just so happy to see because this show deserves the love. And some things I want to just throw out there, and some of them will be discussion points, others are not. But again, you guys are amazing out there in the community. Keep it up. Like, we literally talk about your guys' comments all the time, even if we don't bring it up now. So keep doing that. But anyway, I'm going to start with my favorite comment that pretty much blew my mind. And this is from @XKingGingerX on YouTube. He said in our last YouTube video, or commented on it, that how much he was enjoying everything to do with Evil J in the OG world, because he said none of that is in the book. And to me, that's crazy, because that feels like half the foundation for this show. But it also, to me, adds extra just love for Blake and his vision, because it allowed him to just expand upon the ground that he already set and get to really just flesh out some little things that maybe didn't click in the book because he wasn't seeing Evil J's side. But the fact that that stuff's not even there is just amazing. So thank you for informing us about that, because that's one of the craziest switches, I'm sure, from the book to the show. So that was a really cool comment. Some other ones I'm just going to throw out there. This has been not just in our community, like the Discord, also like on Reddit and Twitter. I'm seeing this all over the place about the idea that Leighton is shown in the background of the dance scene. And this was brought to us by YouTube at Dino Cummings 9087. Dino Cummings 9087. He pointed this out. I think somebody shouted out in the Discord as well, but this is the comment I wrote down. Just the idea that when Amanda and OG Jason are on that date night break, I went back and looked at it right before this podcast, and it is very, I'm 50-50 if it's Leighton or not, because it definitely looks like Leighton, but you don't get a full-on frontal shot of him. And he does have some like glamour, like he's styled out, so like you can tell that he kind of could be the trust fund baby from this universe. But I think it's important to point out that there's no chance that it is evil Leighton or OG Leighton, because I don't think he traveled at that point, right? Because I don't think that happens till the end of the episode. So
Right.
I don't know if it really matters, and it could just be a dumb, fun Easter egg that we can ask Blake about in the future. But that's also a good catch. So thank you to Dino Cummings. And now the other one I want to bring up, and this is, I guess could be the last one I'm going to bring up for now. There was a conversation going on our Discord between @PEA and then @Delco Nick, friend of the podcast. So they were discussing the scene with blonde Daniela, Kyle's favorite Daniela. And I've also seen this around the internet as well, but I think after going back and like freeze frame, screenshot, throwing it in Discord and everything, I've convinced myself that the conversation is that actually Evil J? And we were just seeing him ditch out from the OG universe to try to test the waters to see if he could leave that family so easily? Or is it just what we discussed it as, where it's just OG Jason just kind of just walking around and finding that Daniela? And it felt like to me that the editing and the timing of how they showed the scene is what really caused the confusion, because when I went back and I took screenshots, you can see the cut on his nose, and you can see what it's, I can't say for certain, but it looks like a rubber band, not a wedding ring. So I think I'm like convinced that it's pretty sure that it's at least not Evil J, because now it could be a different version of Jason. Who knows? I don't know how that would ever come back into play, but just something that I saw a bunch of Reddit posts and some conversations online that I wanted to point out. Anything I brought up right there that you guys thought that you need to comment on?
No, not the individual comments, just echoing how fun it is to be able to interact with this many people about the show. It's just like literally the reason why we do these things. I mean, obviously, we have the excuse where we get to hang out more, the three of us, and Paul, B. Toms, Dave, and Lean too. But this is the apex of what we could ever kind of anticipate when we cover a show. So I just couldn't be happier.
Mm-hmm. It's a blast talking to everybody. I really like the comment that you brought up first, Luke, about not knowing in the book the other version of Jason. That's why it's so important to have Blake as the showrunner and the writer, because he probably had a lot of that in his head when he was writing the book. And now you just spit it out and show it on screen. And that's what makes adaptations great. You can do that kind of thing and make the material, I don't want to say better, but, very entertaining.
Yeah.
Sure. And also, Luke, you forgot to shout out one of the other people that are very important to the podcast. That was YouTube commenter XOXO Jimmy69, and he said that Max would show up in an episode at one point.
Is this
And
yourself?
yes, this is me.
Good one.
All right, fine. It wasn't funny enough, dude.
No, didn't do it for me. Sorry, bro.
Okay, fine.
All right.
All right. So let's ready to move conversations to the actual episode.
Yeah,
that
All right.
works.
I will give my just high level thoughts. First thing I noticed right off the bat for this episode is this was the first episode that didn't have an opening scene before the intro music. Probably meaningless, just time constraints or whatever, but I just thought that was funny. But overall, we're 7 for 7 in my book. I think there has not been a single bad episode. And I've mentioned in the last couple of podcasts about how in my head I have like almost two tiers of episodes, being like episode 5 and 6. I think I put in the tier 1, and then pretty much everything else was high tier 2. I don't think anything is ever going to be below that until the finale, where it's going to be super controversial if it's just like the best episode ever, or it's just a controversial ending. Either way, this episode was just incredible. I loved the empathetic Chicago. I don't know what else we can really call it. Maybe like futuristic or progressive Chicago. The whole setting was amazing, and just the implications of potentially getting OG Ryan back is if that's what we're thinking, that it is that same universe. That's incredible. Like, that's music to my ears. So that was one of the highlights of this whole episode, where just the potential of going forward in 8, 9, we can have some crazy, just wild moments with universe jumping. So that was one thing I wanted to bring up. And then the other one would be that I thought the ending scene outside of Daniela, outside of evil Daniela getting shot at the end of episode 2, was the most mind-blowing, like non-sci-fi specific thing that this show has done, where I just was floored. I had to go back and rewatch the scene right away because I just could not comprehend how this is going to fit into the story. Like, this is going to be my most blind theory crafting, I guess, of this whole show, like where I have no idea what the reasoning behind that is or how that's really going to play out. Are we talking like there's 500 Jasons here in this universe? Like, is this not even the right there's just so many possibilities, and that scene just opened up the conversation both on Reddit, Discord, YouTube, like all of it. It's going to be so fun to talk through. But overall, man, this episode has been incredible, or this show has been incredible, and this episode did not disappoint.
I can go next, Jim.
Yeah,
I agree. It's so captivating. And again, there's so many things, and we've texted about this, Luke, and obviously Jim as well. You're in the chat, not forgetting about you here, XO Jimmy69.
XO Jimmy.
Like, we talk about things on the podcast, and then we watch the next episode, and they bring up almost all of the things that we've talked about in some way, whether we're way off base, whether we're kind of 50%, whether we guess it. It's just each episode has so many resolutions in it, but also has so many questions. And I say that almost every podcast that we do, but it's just so unbelievably fun, man.
Yeah.
And the only downside of this episode is that there was just, I thought, some pretty shoddy CGI shots of Chicago, but like, that's the only negative thing I could possibly say. So just another one.
Yeah, so satisfying to be able to have your questions answered, but then give you more to think about every single episode. There's plenty of shows out there. And if you want to do a little comparison, you could talk about Silo. There was a little bit of time where mystery, 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 nothing, nothing, nothing. And then it very much satisfies you at the end and leaves you wanting more for season 2. But this show is a lot different in the way where every single episode, it makes you feel like, all right, I'm getting these answers.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many questions that we've asked where I'm thinking that it's just going to be like, we're going to have to let it go. And then they give us the answer. They actually give us the answer. The end, Luke, you texted me separately because I don't know if Kyle had watched yet. I don't think you had watched yet, Kyle, because actually I hadn't watched it. So I don't know. Maybe me and Luke are just doing it big without you, bro. But no, there is something. I don't know why we were texting separately. Maybe we don't like you that much. But he was like, dude, we're going to need like a full 10-minute plus segment just for the ending of this episode. And it really does open up so much. And all I'm going to say is, oh my goodness, first of all, but also 2 episodes left. This scene makes me think there should be 10 seasons. The way that they're opening these possibilities. But again, I trust Blake. He's made us feel satisfied every single episode. I feel fully confident that he is going to take these 2 episodes and answer our questions and not make us feel overwhelmed by the fact that there could literally be a Jason from 30 seconds before the Jason that got through the box, and then the 30 seconds before that, and before that. Like it seems very, very, very overwhelming, but they're going to be able to answer it. I'm sure. And last thing I'll say is maybe you kind of just blew my mind, Luke. I don't know maybe if I'm being stupid or not, but like I didn't think at all about OG Ryan and in that world.
Did I jump the gun? Is that not Kyle? You tie break. Did you have any thought that this was the same universe as where Ryan got dropped off?
Oh, the one that Amanda's in.
Yeah.
I didn't think that. That feels like it would be incredibly coincidental.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. But I mean, Luke said it, and I was like,
the
whoa,
buildings. I think we had to go back and check the buildings.
They didn't get to they didn't get to nighttime where it was like Northern Lights kind of deal.
But some support for me is before this podcast too, I went back and looked at the Ryan scene, and like you can see the Ferris wheel, you see the futuristic little hub of another building off to the right. Like I spotted a couple things, and then of course the skylines are both incredibly high compared to normal Chicago in where Ryan got dropped off and where Amanda ended up. So that was all my backup for it. And I'm just gonna say this now that I thought that was the whole point of Jason slipping in the two lavender fairies or the 2 amps into her bag, because now it can be used to bring back 2 people, which again makes the Leighton thing interesting. But that was a different universe. But Leighton could still be out there too. I don't know. But Ryan and Amanda coming back seems like it's on the table now.
Yeah, it seems fair that he gives her the 2 ampules and it means something versus she's just off to the new country of Cascadia in this world and we never see her again.
Yeah. Or do we want to? Well, I guess we don't want to get into all that yet, right?
Well, we will eventually.
Yeah, let's just start letting it roll, and then we'll get into it. Because I mean, Luke, you blew my mind when you said that, and I got a lot to say. So
now I feel like I'm way off.
No, I mean,
we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah.
All right. So just a reminder for everyone who maybe hasn't listened to us before. Just the way we cover these episodes is that we'll break them into the Evil J bucket and the Jason bucket. Towards the end, we know finally they will converge into the same thing. So we'll take all of the Evil J scenes first. The first scene being, or first group of scenes, let's just call them. I just have dinner and Detective Mason. So they're just having dinner. Detective Mason shows up and they kind of talk about Ryan a little bit, which then prompts Daniela to finally confront Evil J about the amp. So some important things I think that we had been asking for have happened here. So it was nice that we got these scenes.
Another one of those things where we're saying we have a question and it's satisfying, where we're like, how can Ryan disappear? He's a gajillionaire now. He's famous and there's going to be no cops. Like what's, and immediately the next episode, there's a detective showing up. So again, I thought it was great.
And this was the same detective from the Evil universe, right?
Yes.
Which is cool because it actually makes sense. Like, how are you going to hire somebody for 2 lines when you can just reuse them? Although universes differ, like it's most likely that she would be an FBI agent in both of them. So I thought she was just suspicious the whole time and very like, you're my number 1 suspect, which is how it should be. I mean, he was the last one that he was seen with. Later, the scene that she comes back and brings up the CCTV of him in the bar, and then also Ryan going downtown, like all of it kind of makes sense. So yeah, I'm happy it kind of went 0 to 100, although it does kind of cheapen the whole encasing the box in cement for like 20 minutes of screen time, but whatever. I guess that's more to show that Evil J hasn't thought everything all the way through, and there's all these things that are going to keep falling apart with this plan. But yeah, she was a good wrinkle, and it actually, without her, OG Jason never would have been able to come back. So it worked out.
Yeah. And I love the subtext of the scene where she's asking the last time they saw Ryan, and Daniela's like, oh, I saw him like 5 days ago at his apartment, and Evil J looks at her and was like, okay, I didn't know that. And then he says, oh, I saw him 3 days ago at the bar, and she looks at him and he's like, okay, I didn't know that. That was just funny. And that leads her to confronting him, and he just wiggled out of it pretty much the only way we almost thought he could. I was more thinking that he would play into the drug addiction part more, but that's honestly kind of dumb thinking back, and the way that he did it was the smartest possible way of telling, let's say, 80% of the truth, even though the 20% that he left out is the most important part. That's like the actual truth. So
by the way, I'm not me. I'm another guy, but
he's so smooth, man. Like it wasn't fully successful, but it was way more successful than I thought possible.
I wish that we wrote this person down because there was somebody that did comment, and we talked about it slightly. I remember bringing it up last episode myself, just being like, what is he going to do? Is he going to be arrogant and just like show her the box? Is he just going to think he can get away with everything? Like, what's the deal? Someone did comment and be like, just use the drug, say that it's making you lose your memories. Like, you have a literal answer to all of her questions. You could just say that I created this drug, and just like he explained it to her. And the side effects are that, oh, for a second, I forgot about Max and, things like that, which, I mean, it's a little crazy, but at the same time, it is almost the perfect alibi, if that's the way you want to say it. And yeah, I can't believe how easily it worked out, because we were joking that it's game over and he just kind of got around it. But it is a good answer, and I'm fine with it. I mean, it's not like she was just like, "Oh my God, I love you. Like, I knew you were okay." It's but she's still suspicious, but she's okay.
Gullible though, too, right?
She is. I mean,
you got to put that out there.
He puts his hand on her, and she's like, "I love you, man."
Yeah,
it's cool in the sense that
but she loves this guy. It's her husband.
Yeah, and we've said this before. You can't possibly. Like, your mind isn't built to think of the possibility that he's literally not your husband and he's from another world. Like,
that's true.
It kind of checks all the rational.
He's like, honey, I made these ampules, this lavender fairy, messes with the front of your prefrontal cortex, and she's like, oh, so you're not my Jason.
That'd be crazy.
Is that what you're saying to me? Is that what you're saying to me? You're admitting me? Yeah. So I mean, dude, to her, she's like, thank God it's not heroin. Now it's just some secret project he was working on with Ryan, and Ryan was under an NDA, so he couldn't talk to me about it.
That's the one part that feels a little shaky, where if I was Daniela,
because you feel like Ryan would.
Yeah, I would have been a little bit more suspicious, I would say, maybe of that line. And it was Shay Markel in the YouTube comments crafted this alibi for Evil J himself, and it pretty much ended up being exactly that. So
nice.
That worked out pretty well.
Do they have screeners or what?
So the one thing I think I want to wrap this scene up with, because I think it leads pretty well into the other one, and it's at this point we have many of these per episode, but this is probably like this fucking guy Evil J moment of the episode is him using the line of "I felt guilty of wanting more, doing more." It's just like, you're a little rat. And she's like, oh, okay. That's like the last thing he says to her. So I only use that as a segue into this therapy scene with Amanda, because it feels like it's this way about him. He's very sociopathic, psychopathic type of guy. And he in this reverse therapy scene, he really weaponizes the use of like what they call therapy speak. When he says to her, why do you have a problem with me removing myself from a bad situation? Like, trying to play on that. And she's just like, that's not what's happening here. And then that doesn't work so well. And then he completely uses all of his secret otherworld information to break her down completely. And that was just kind of tough to watch, because it was like, okay,
it was.
You're a fucking asshole.
Is that the end of her?
I would say so.
And again, it's a betrayal. Obviously, it's not his Amanda, but whether he loves his Amanda in Evil World or not, they were dating, and he's using that information against the therapist Amanda to hurt her. And it's evil. Evil J.
Yeah. And he's clearly running away.
Oh, yeah.
I'm thinking of leaving, and she kind of says that, like, you're obviously just running away from the situation. It's not you're removing yourself from a bad situation. So, yeah. So instead of him running away himself to a new world, he decides to run away to a different world to fix his Ryan-sized hole in his world, in the current world. And
our Ryan-sized hole.
Yeah, that's true. Our Ryan. And this was just crazy. It makes sense. Never thought this was going to happen. Never knew this was how the Ryan storyline was going to go. But do we think this is a good idea or a bad idea?
Bad.
It's going to be a fun idea. Like, it's so weird that I came away from this episode very much looking forward to the next time we get to see Ryan and Detective Mason. Like, I did not think that was going to be one of my more anticipated things because of how much craziness this show actually is. But I am so looking forward to, I guess, Evil J being satisfied, like kind of like looking at Detective Mason if they actually cross paths again on screen. And they have to, because what else are you going to do with this Ryan? He's going to wake up, not know who he is, but he's this very important businessman in this world who's in the process of making $1 billion pharmaceutical deal for his drug. So like, this is going to be chaotic. And then, of
Yep.
course, he's going to see Daniela and have no idea what's going on when she goes to confront him and ask what the heck happened the last couple of days. So to me, it's crazy that this is going to be one of the most anticipated parts of episode 8 for me. And I love the long hair, man. I'm sad that they cut that shit off. But this guy drinks, dude. This guy's fun, man. This
Evil
is a good
Jay
Ryan.
is Barber Jay now.
Yeah.
He's a good.
Yeah.
He cuts hair, but it goes back to what I was saying earlier in this episode when it comes to Blake and the fact that this obviously wouldn't be in the book if we don't get Evil Jay's side of things, but he had to have been thinking of this stuff, or at least when the show was getting ready to be written, think of this stuff, because it honestly works perfectly, even though I think it's a majorly bad idea. You have Orion in OG world that's now missing, that I guess you could say was an alcoholic, and he's sober now. Like, that's what they're saying. He's sober. I mean, I guess it means alcoholic, right?
I'm so sorry. I thought you were trying to say that this new Ryan, I guess you could say, was an alcoholic. And I was thinking, I don't think you guessed. I think you
No,
did
no,
say.
no, no.
That was my fault. That was
No.
my
I'm
fault.
saying because he said sober. I know people
Yeah.
will say they're sober and they're not technically alcoholics, but however you want to say it, right? So he's sober, and you bring Orion in that you could just pull out, right? You just pull out Orion, and you can say that he's having some kind of mental break or whatever you want to say, because he's going on this major bender, and this is on him because he can't remember things. He can't remember Daniela, and it's going to be weird. Everything's going to be weird, but I found you on a major bender, man. You might be on drugs. You might be doing this. You might be doing that. I don't know you might have had a mental break. I'm sorry, but it's not my fault. Me being Evil Jay. It's perfect writing for like an alibi kind of thing for Evil Jay, but at the same time, it's just, yes, it answers one question for here's Ryan, but now there's, oh my God, this guy doesn't know Danielle. He never went to, all this crazy stuff. But the scene between the two of them, freaking amazing. Are we gonna talk about Jimmy Simpson again, man?
Dude, this is a Jimmy Simpson podcast. But let me say, though, because it's technically his fault, even though it's not actually his fault, for answering Evil Jay's question in how he justifies doing all this evil shit, when he says basically, do you want to see the path untaken? Like, there's grass greener on the other side, and he's like, oh my God, I think about it all the time. Right there, Evil Jay thinks he's doing at least a somewhat good thing, even though he's always selfishly doing whatever is best for him.
It again, dude. Rationalize it again. But the whole coin flip thing, can you imagine? Oh, what if you just flipped the coin and it was the other person who drove, and everything changes? And just the way that Jimmy Simpson's character or actor was acting for Ryan, where he obviously does, like you said, Kyle, have a problem. They're sitting there having beers together, and he's like, whiskey. He's like, I want to, it's like, it's just everything about it was perfect. And then the line where he says, like, I feel like I know you. I'm butchering it, and I don't know, Kyle, I know you read a lot of these down, but he's basically said, like, have you ever felt like you know somebody that you never met before? And it's just like, OG Ryan loves OG Jason. And that spans across the multiverse.
Yeah.
But this one never actually met his Jason, which is sad, man.
That's true.
Sad.
I wonder how many people are out there for me that I've never met in this life. That's pretty crazy. But I love the thread, the commonality between these Ryans of how their lives are so different, but they still love to use the phrase "bag of dicks."
Yes,
that was so funny. I was so great when he said that. I'm like, okay, that's Ryan. That's Orion. I just, one of my notes here just says there's no way this works, but
no,
Are we about to move on to the other Jason for a second? Because I want to bring one more thing up. If we're
I was just gonna highlight the scene of Evil Jay coming home.
That was gonna be my question. Is when he has like that freak out look. Okay, so you have the same reaction as me. And
I literally
wrote, me and Kyle are like confused.
I wrote, what is the scene? Is it the sudden realization of the way he's been acting? Does he feel bad? Does he feel like this atomic shift in the world because now Jason has come in through the box? Did he like feel that in any way? I couldn't tell.
For a second, I thought he was thinking he was in the wrong version of his universe, like he didn't make it back to OG world. But that doesn't make sense, because how is that going to play out in a fun way for us? So I don't know. It just felt like a weirdly edited scene, like it almost could have been cut. But I don't know. There could be more purpose there.
Yeah,
it was definitely another weirdly edited scene, especially if you're going to assume that he puts his ear to the door, and obviously the subtitles say Daniela giggling or whatever it is, and
he was like pissed. He's like, they're making her laugh.
Well, that's what I'm saying is like, but he has his facial expression, and then do we assume that later when OG Jason comes in the back door and then Evil Jay goes into the front, that's him coming in, or is he
Yeah,
going to
I
leave and come
thought
back
so.
again? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it is a little weird. My thought was just like he hears Daniela giggling, and it's like one of those things where maybe he just like, dude, I don't have it in me. I don't feel like putting this front up right now. Like he just wants to walk into a house that no one's there, or he knows he's gonna walk in. She's giggling. Maybe he doesn't know it's Charlie. It could just be company, and he's like, I don't feel like dealing with this. Something like that.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, the whole
Part of
world
me,
has to be exhausting. How
yeah.
can
Oh,
you? How can
every
you
day
be
of his
evil?
life,
Yeah, gee, it's crazy.
every day of his life, he is in fight or flight.
Yeah,
Which,
even though that's what our
yeah,
Jason
yeah,
and Amanda are in too.
yeah,
It's a good
which
parallel.
was an
Yeah.
unintentional, pretty perfect segue. But I just
Yeah.
want to say that my headcanon, until we know or do anything else, is that he felt it. He felt the shift.
That's
in
cool.
The,
I
in the
like that
quantum
though.
level. He's like, oh, especially with Jason. The box has been used.
I wonder if he felt the other one then too.
Yeah. The immediate way to disprove that would be he wouldn't have needed to set up a camera, but we're going to ignore that because
Alright.
he also got rid of that camera, it seems. So we're not
What
worried
if
about
every time OGJ snaps the rubber band on his finger, our Jason could feel it, dude? Remember when Luke, you were bringing that up in the what was that earlier when you thought that's when he got cut?
Evil Leighton
Yeah,
was punching him and
Yeah.
beating him up, I thought he was gonna be like, "What the fuck
Yeah.
is this?" He's just
Yeah.
like getting hit in the air. Yeah.
And then the rubber band will come into play where it'll cut off so much circulation that he can't use that as his trigger finger, and then he's gonna like not be able to use the gun, and then he's gonna win.
I'm so mad I jumped on that train last episode. I couldn't have waited a little bit longer because that is just
Hey,
out the
baby.
door. But it was
We got
fun. It was a
to-
good theory. And that's
we
also
got-
proof right there. We don't ever watch ahead because why would we have spent so many words on rubber band?
but still,
Listen.
I understand that you could easily just say, Evil Jay's wearing the ring, OGJ's not wearing the ring, right? But it just makes it better to have something there. And I will say they do show it a lot more this episode close up. And that
Mhm.
thing has been
We're not
through
dead.
some hell.
Yeah,
That
we're
thing
not
has
dead
been
yet.
through hell.
We're not dead yet. It's got more of a role to play than just identifying OG Jason. I believe that. Okay, so we can just talk about OG Jason now. So I had this first world, just just being one big bucket. There's no reason to break up this conversation at all. I just had a nuclear fusion, just because that is interesting and a big, it seems, reason why the world is the way it is. Wild set of scenes, group of scenes. We have been talking about this, it seems like, the entire time, and Jimmy was kind of the flag bearer of this. Amanda is clearly impacting their ability to get to the right world theory. Was nice that we got it confirmed here, and there's just a lot of other things too happening in all these scenes. I'm sure we'll have a fun time talking about this.
Just shout out to a YouTube comment as well. This was last episode before we even got this part of the content where at King of Mass 76, I don't think we shouted him out yet. He also was right there with you, Jimmy. He was calling, like he was flag planting that Amanda is the reason he can't get home. And I'm actually so excited and happy and satisfied that that's the case, because there's no way we could have justified in our head how that wasn't going to play a part into their navigating the multiverse. But it does leave the question about the times where Evil Jay is taken around OG Ryan and OG Leighton. Why did they not have any just unintentional driving of where the box goes? But I don't know how they can answer that, but I mean, I keep saying that the questions and they keep answering it. So there's we might get that.
The one detail I do like that they showed was when Amanda was going to open up into her world, the world that she chose, they do show OG Jason like closing his eyes and taking a breath, like trying to clear his mind, just like Evil Jay would tell Ryan and Leighton. Now, it could be like what we said, Amanda, her subconscious, she loves him so much, or she just doesn't know where she fits, or she doesn't actually want to leave him. That's just too powerful, and it's just swaying it. But him actually clearing his mind, I like that they just showed that, because there is a good chance we're not going to get that answer. But the fact that they showed Jason close his eyes, take a couple breaths, like he's trying to clear his mind while she opens the door not to sway what's going to be on the other side. I do like that they showed that specifically.
Have a headcanon answer, basically, if it doesn't get explicitly answered. Okay.
Yeah. I do like, again, this is another question that we've kind of had. This was brought up in the YouTube comments by Mr. Crisis Z. Something that's kind of been floating around that didn't really matter, I would feel like, a ton to us, but just a question that they might not have needed to answer, but they did, was that we've got a confirmation. It's been 29 days.
Right.
So they've just been running around basically for 29 straight days and just
Yeah.
ripping amps.
And
How do
I
they just count as 29 sleeps? Like, how do they freaking know?
No idea.
it's a
I
good
mean,
question.
maybe there's one of their gadgets in their survival bag has something, but I don't know.
I don't know.
But this
point.
is what I brought up when I was reading what Amanda was writing, because she goes on to say that she wrote about the people and empathy like that. And what I was bringing up that she didn't say here was she was writing radical empathy and like writing it twice and underlining it. So that was like the main defining factor of this world. And now I'm just going to take us back to just quickly the I guess theory that this is also where OG Ryan got dropped off, because Evil Jay at the time was saying, I thought of a place that I would want my friend to see. So that also kind of lines up with the whole empathy angle. And
Sure.
again, like it's a shot for shot version of Chicago, day versus night. Like OG Ryan got dropped off with the Aurora lights going on, whereas this was during the day. So I think that was done purposely to kind of to make it
Right.
harder to guess, because if you
Yeah.
saw that, you would think it right away. But I'm very on the train that this is where OG Ryan somehow is, and it's going to come back into play that Amanda has 2 amps left. But
Okay.
yeah. So
That's more
So-
fun.
Yeah. Well, here comes my question, because you definitely blew my mind when you brought it up in the intro, and I like it because who doesn't like more OG Ryan? What could they do that would satisfy you without it sounding or looking too cliche, or like, here comes Avengers Assemble, we're going to save it,
convenient.
Jason?
How
So,
would him
like,
and
what-
Amanda ever even link up? Where we
Right,
like
because,
there's
I
like
mean-
a time travelers anonymous group? Like there's
That's
not.
true.
Because it's just one of those things where, to me, like Kyle just said, it would be cool. I would like it a lot. But Evil Jay saying, I want a place where my friend will like the world, and Amanda having what she wrote down with the empathy and all that, if that matches exactly to a certain world of all the limitless worlds,
Mhm.
it would be a little like, But
And let me counter that real quick though, because I also had those feelings about OG Jason and Amanda falling asleep and then waking up where Blair was. That is the same level of what are the chances they just dream themselves into the same spot that evil Blair went. So
well,
like,
see, but for me, that was a little bit better just because they said like they were talking about their Blair, so it lured them, like it swayed
okay,
them to their Blair. Like
yeah,
yeah, it's tough, but I mean, again, they could figure out a way to make it make sense. And like I said, you blew my mind when you said it, and it
Mhm.
wasn't a bad. You blew my mind, so we'll see what happens. And the other thing, I just wanted to rewind. I guess you could, when you go into your different worlds, multiverses, maybe the date is the same, so you know when you left, and you could just check the date on the world that you were in. I don't know. Maybe leave.
Didn't we determine that? Was there any way we actually determined the time was 1-to-1?
Well, we know that he guessed
Yeah.
that it should be. Was it Mac the day Max passed
Birthday.
away? Or his birthday, right? It was the
Harley's
day
birthday.
Charlie and Max's birthday. Now we know
believe
that they're
so.
actual identical twins, but
That's true.
right. So he was saying while he was in the corridor, it's my son's
Mhm.
plural birthday, and it actually was showing us in the
You're
OG
right.
world that it was.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems to be maybe the same date, but time itself might not exactly line up. But also, I'm only saying that because of we get the world where we watch Amanda die, because they mentioned like we could have
Oh yeah.
timed things
Yeah,
wrong. But that,
but
that
no,
could have
no,
just been they were delayed in that world. So
exactly.
they got
Yeah.
So it's not that it was
Exactly.
So that's a good point actually. I
Yeah.
guess that might be something maybe we don't get an answer on. And I'll be honest, I don't know how important that is.
Yeah, I
The
agree.
story that's being told, I would say, when she starts talking about what she wrote down about this world, and she says people agreeing on basic facts, I kind of was like, okay, this might be interesting. Of
It could be
like,
the
what are
wrong
these facts? Yeah, exactly. Like that's a pretty vague statement. If you're not listing the facts themselves, it could be almost anything. It could be crazy facts that everyone agrees on that we don't
Mhm.
like, type of deal. And that just was like, because Luke, we talked about this the other weekend. Like I just read the book The Lathe of Heaven by Ursula Le Guin, and that's like that to a T, where like they're trying to use dreams to change the world, and it's like do world peace, and it ends up being that aliens come and the world is at peace with each other because they're united against the aliens, type of thing. So
Yeah.
I was like, oh my god, okay, let's see where these facts go. But it turned out to be a good thing, so
Right.
that was good for us.
And I have a comment because I also felt that that specific line of dialogue was weird, and how OG Jason absorbed the information. He says, "Oh, so you were writing about the people, not the things." Has he not just been, I guess if you're going to say like Daniela's hair and like the things
The
like that, but he
sign.
has
Yeah.
been writing about Daniela a lot. So that felt a little weird to say it like that. Like he wasn't thinking about his family like that. Of course, that's what he's
Yeah.
been thinking about.
I think it really goes back to what we said last episode, where it's just a little disappointing that he didn't do what he did this episode already.
Yeah.
I mean, how can you decide, oh, Daniela's got short hair to her shoulders, and our sign is red at the bar, and there's a wine whatever across the street, and blah 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 blah. Like, you're really gonna think of that over the fact, like, of the if you're gonna think about things, think about the remembrance tree, or think about
Mhm.
things like that. But we've been harping on it for a while, like memories and feelings. That's got to
Mhm.
be the real thing, and it was a little surprising that it took them this long to get there.
Yeah, I'm not so sure I could explain it to a 5-year-old what actually is the driver. Like, I'm just kinda generally getting the vibes of people, like, okay, that
I
works.
was I was gonna
Radical
text you
empathy
guys.
isn't people, by the way, so I don't know how that really lines
I
up, but
guess
maybe
it's
it's
like
things that the people embody, like, that's even
yeah.
weirder for him to say it like that.
Ideologies and yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it's more of their being versus their physical characteristics.
yeah.
Right,
This might be
right.
my
Yes.
least favorite hard sci answer is what I'll say. Not that it's
Yeah.
taking even 1% of enjoyment away, because this is gonna be something that's impossible to actually convey to an audience when we're talking about the multiverse. So it's just nitpicking at this point, but I felt like it was worth it talking because we only praised this show.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
It
That's
it
fair.
goes it goes back to, how does Evil Jay keep getting back to the world that he wants when he has no emotional attachment or things like that to think
Mhm.
about, right? He picks the world and maybe decides that's the world, and then now he knows how he felt when he's in that world, maybe, and you
It
have
just
to
seems like he's the
yeah.
guy.
Yeah.
His mental state feels like it's very unique. It's very, I would say, one track minded. It's
And it's probably
rational.
set, like, it
Yeah,
won't change.
it's very rational within his own beliefs. He doesn't really seem to have a ton of self-doubt, I would say, in
Mhm.
himself.
Right,
He
Yeah.
right, right,
has doubt in other people
right.
and their actions and why if they don't align with the way he thinks they should, but I think he is very comfortable with his own self and his own mind, and that makes it easier for him. Because
Mhm.
Yeah,
I would say, is under way less he's under stress when he's in OG world to keep up
yeah.
the facade of things, but I think when he's traveling, and I just think as a base level, like,
That's his
he's under
element.
way less
He's at
stress,
home.
yeah, than when OG Jason is like, "Oh my god, I have fucking 3 amps left, and I need to find my
Yeah.
wife. I'm gonna kill myself," type of deal,
Mhm.
so, yeah.
Yeah.
Therapist Amanda said it without actually saying it, but Evil Jay is at home in the corridor, in the
Mhm.
Yeah,
actual corridor.
yeah.
And something that I found interesting when it came to Amanda and Jason, OG Jason's conversation before they go into her world, was that, number one, she said that it's habit forming, the Lavender Fairy.
Yeah.
So that's kind of interesting. I would like to know if that's going to have any kind of effect on our Jason or Evil Jay in the next 2 episodes. The other thing I wanted to ask you guys is, do you think that Amanda manipulated OG Jason in a way to go to this world? Now,
I would say this is Luke used the word implication earlier, and I was thinking of the implication here, where this feels quite Dennisist to me. Of out on the boat, the implication, like, we got 4 amps left. We're in this world that we like the implication being
yeah.
that if you leave, like, you'll probably never find a world like this, and you'll probably never find Daniela, so you might as well stay.
I'm
Well,
staying, man, if I'm them.
yeah, she says, let's take a beat. It's habit forming. We're in fight or flight for 29 days. We need a day to chill. I get it, but we also talked about the fact that you're using an amp every time, and we thought they need to have a therapy session. But the manipulation here is that she says that and she gets him to do what she wants, but the whole thing is, hey, this is the world I chose for me. I would love if you freaking stayed. But
Mhm.
if you don't, I had to make sure that this amp was used for me because we were talking about it. I'm proud of her. She has to think for herself,
Yeah,
and she
yeah,
did do what was right for her. Like, she shouldn't feel like she has any kind of commitment to this OG Jason. She's a great person. She wants to help him. But again, when she helps him get to his world, she already asked the question, what
yeah.
next?
And he didn't answer it. He did not answer.
Yeah.
He looked her dead in her eyes and turned around. So yeah, no,
And
I agree.
the good thing is, while Jason initially reacted like you're abandoning me, like he kind of came to terms with it really quick because he had to think through it a little bit. Like, yeah, it basically is a sunset moment for her if this is truly it for that Amanda, because it was only gonna end poorly for her if she kept on sticking with him, whether she gets trapped in his world, isolated and like by herself, or she has to literally hijack the last bits of amps to get her own version of happiness. So this was like the only version of happy ending I could see, unless Avengers Assemble with Ryan. So that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tough scene getting broken up with or getting abandoned at the top of the Obama Tower.
Yeah, right.
Tough scene.
Yeah, they got a good kiss in though, which is crazy. I did not see that coming
Wild.
either.
Me and Andrew both like, oh my God, they kissed.
Well, Luke, when we were talking about last episode, is it over? Like, are they done? Was that the final straw with the bed scene? And she takes to this world, and it was pretty obvious that she's like, "This world's great, man, and you might want to stay here with me." But in the bar, they're lovey-dovey kind of, and then the picture with the couple saying, "You guys look cute." And then when they go to say bye there, they kind of do the awkward, am I kissing you? What's going on here? Yeah. And then the conversation before she like lays it down, they hold hands again on the table for a second. I'm like, for a second, I was like, you could convince Jason. I feel like you could convince him maybe, but it goes all the way back to what I was saying about, did he cheat with evil Daniela? When I wanted him to say like, I can't do it when it was her, he basically did that here, right? He says, I love my family. And this was, I guess, what was needed for him to come to this realization. And then he goes to the next world and he has the conversation with that world's Daniela, but he has the realization that that's what needs to be felt and said to get him back to his world, because it's his last chance. But as much as he felt great with Amanda in this world, he still knew deep down how much he loved his wife and his son.
And okay, I guess since we're like just talking about this, when they do say the bye and they do the cheating kiss, whatever, take it how you want, and he slips those 2 amps into her bag.
Yeah.
Since I was thinking Ryan and potentially her return since they stepped out of the box. What were you guys thinking in this moment then? Like, was that just like a moment to leave it open-ended for Amanda in case she wants to have an even more happy ending than she already did? Because I know I don't know. Like, what were you guys thinking? I was so set in that theory that I thought it was like obvious. Now I feel like an asshole because I could be way off.
Whoa, hey, Lukey. No.
The only asshole here is Exo Jimmy 69.
Yeah, man. That's who's that asshole?
Evil J, the real Evil J.
Evil J over here. Honestly, the way that I was taking it was just cementing that OG Jason is such a good guy that he just wants to like use them to protect her. Like he wants to do it just in case. She makes the decision that she wants to make, but I'm going to slip him in and sacrifice 2 of mine just to make sure that you're okay, Amanda.
Okay.
Yeah. I think
I can buy that too.
And then it's slightly, maybe meta is the right word to use here, where it just increases his level of desperation, where now he only has 3 tries instead of 5 tries. So,
and it's for the viewer too to be like, oh, so is she going to come back? Just like you said, Luke. So
that's fair.
Yeah.
And one small gripe I have, and I think I brought it up in another episode, why do they have an odd amount of amps when they started with an even amount and there's 2 of them?
Huh. Unless
they didn't start with an even amount? I don't remember. I thought they started with 50.
So that was Evil J picked up 50, right? Or did they?
Yeah.
Did they just had like the same bag too?
They just grabbed a bag too. Yeah. I could be forgetting when they first use it and they count, they have however many, but I just assume they started with 50. There are 2 of them. You can only get to even numbers when you start with an even number, and they had 5 left. So I was like, okay, that's interesting, but who knows? Yeah, not a really important thing.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, hold on. You already mentioned this earlier, and I just think it's so cool because I'm sure we're walking away from this scene. The whole Seattle seceding or seating.
Yeah.
What's the word I'm looking for? Seceding?
I think secede.
Yeah, just being in its own country. That's just such a funny world building thing that will not matter.
And it's not all. Canada.
Yeah. Well, exactly.
Cascadia, maybe Vancouver joined. Who can say? Maybe I just outed myself of having no knowledge of geography by adding Canada into the Cascades region, but we'll see.
So the last thing that I wanted to ask you guys about when it comes to this specific world was Did you have any thoughts that she was like chasing after him to stop him in the final
Not that
scenes?
not that she was chasing after him to stop him, but that there's no way she didn't see him just walk
Yeah,
in
like
front
I
of
don't
the
know
that
what was
was
happening.
I thought that was kind of dumb, where it's just a glass door and windows,
Mhm.
and he just walks right across it 6
But
seconds before she walks out. She
she's
totally saw him.
she's walking like fast, like she seems like she's trying to do something with a
Yeah.
purpose. She's walking with a purpose, and then I really thought that he was gonna go to turn back after he opens the door right when he's about to close, and she's gonna be there. But again, I didn't know what the purpose of that would have ever been.
Yeah. Well,
So
she does have that kind of panic attack in the elevator, so I could see why you would then believe why she was like, "Okay, shit, I'm alone, like, maybe I should
yeah,
go find him," type of deal, but
Mhm.
I thought that was just, like, the overwhelming emotion of starting out in a completely new world, universe by
yeah, and
yourself.
also the
But
fact that you probably love this Jason, and you're saying bye to him forever. So
yeah.
Mhm.
This was the one scene when she's in the elevator. There's another scene when they first get into the world, but this scene with the music and, like, the CGI city behind her where I was kinda like, this is a miss for me. The
it's
music
it
combined with, like, the kind of I don't wanna say crappy visuals because I know everyone worked hard on their job for this show, but it just didn't it was very obvious that she was not actually in an elevator descending through this city, and I just couldn't not think that.
it's crazy how huge budget movies can do that by accident sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't know how that works. Like obviously Apple TV has plenty of budget. We've seen it with certain parts of this show. Like it's crazy to me how CGI just sometimes can look phenomenal and sometimes it could be like a little bit off where it's just obvious it's not right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know anything that goes into the process, so I'll just leave the comment at that, but it was something that I noticed like
Yeah.
that. And we'll leave this scene with me shouting out what I thought was one of the funniest comments we've ever gotten with Pump Up the Volume, who's saying that Jason is in superposition between Amanda and OG Daniela. And I
I like
think
that.
he's officially no longer in superposition between Amanda and Daniela because he has moved on from the world. He heads into the box and he leaves Nuclear Fusion Chicago.
Mhm.
This next group of scenes, which is essentially what Jimmy kind of brought up earlier, is when he's talking to Daniela on that a prepaid phone. I have these groups of scenes as lock it in. Wait, maybe not like that, because at first he's like getting emotional and he's thinking about their relationship, and I'm like, yeah, all right, man, you're thinking the right way. And then he dresses up in all black and slides in the door at night and stands over their bed, and I was like, okay, not like this, boss, not like this.
Yeah, you're getting there. You're getting evil, bro. He like literally sees the mask in the storefront.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Oh,
just mood switch. He was like, oh yeah, I
And
can do this.
let me say the sound was, I don't know if it's just the screeners or not, but it was so loud and I was full of tension. I thought that, like,
Yeah,
I didn't actually
when
think he
he's
was
in the
gonna do
bedroom.
it. Yeah, yeah, when he's in the
yeah.
bedroom.
That
Dude, it was a good sound of whatever music or like eerie
Yeah,
music they decided to go with. It worked really well because it was freaking me out, even though I knew there was no shot that he was actually gonna do this right now. You just had to build that tension for the moment, and I thought the cinematography worked really well.
the
Those big
tension was
decisions.
crazy too. Just with mine wasn't necessarily is he actually going to do it. Like I was there with you, Luke and Kyle.
Mhm.
Like he wasn't going to do it. He was going to be our Jason, and he's going to snap back to reality.
If he
Oops,
was
there
gonna get
goes
caught.
gravity. You know. But come on, the little Eminem lyrics. Extra Jimmy, I get nothing from you guys. Nothing. But anyway,
That was a good one. That was better than the early one.
thanks, appreciate that. My whole thing was just the tension of is there one eyeball gonna open up and see this Jason and
yeah,
freak out? Like, what is he gonna do? Just like, oh, gee, and just run out the door? Like,
Mhm.
I mean, when she turns, I know it's all for the tension's sake, and she's not gonna open her eyes. But when she turns, I was like, oh my gosh! And
yeah,
we already brought this up when it came to the Amanda dying in the other world. Just seeing yourself laying in bed, it's just got to be crazy. It's got to be
Mhm.
unbelievable.
yeah,
And I think it's this scene when he's going up the stairs that you can actually see Max and Charlie in the picture on the wall. So
Yes.
at that point, like Alki caught it before
yeah.
That
I
was an
did. But
ominous
Joke
I,
of a
yeah,
lifetime, baby.
yeah.
And that was very ominous because it was very quick. And it was like, again, I'm watching on my phone because of the screeners, but it's like a little like the camera's turning as he's turning up the stairs. And I was like, oh my gosh, there it
Mhm.
is, finally.
It was in a
Yeah.
different place too.
Yeah, it's at the stairway.
Yeah,
or
it was hung in a
stairwell.
different.
Yeah.
That was probably for convenience sake to get it in the shot, but is what it is. This was just an absolute roller coaster because the first scene when he has the phone and he's talking to her, and he's like hooking this Jason up. He's like,
I
"I
was
love
gonna
you
say
so
that.
much, dude. I take you for granted. Like, I gotta stop doing that. Like, life is so short." And she's like, "Oh my god, yeah. Like, I'm gonna wear the sexy sweatpants tonight." And I was like, "Yeah, dude, you're the man, hooking this Jason up." And then he gets in there, and I'm like, "Oh no, this is going terribly." And then he sits in the kitchen, and I'm like, "Don't sit in the
Yeah,
kitchen."
go out
Yeah,
the
just get
door.
outside. Yeah.
And then Max
Go
comes
anywhere.
on. I'm like, "Oh my god!" And then he's kind of like talking to him. He's like, "I love you." I'm like, "Oh, maybe he's now repairing his relationship with his son. Like he's really hooking this guy up again." And then it just ends terribly. And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh my god, he just destroyed that. He's got to go."
So what I took from it was basically in this universe, what happened is he got a heart transplant and he is now a little bit of a, I don't want to say like screw up, but like he mentions he has bad grades and all these things. So he's feeling guilty that he took the life of somebody or didn't take the life, but had a donation to save his life on behalf of somebody else. So it was like a really awkward and endearing scene at the
Yeah.
same time. So I just didn't know how to think about it, but it was cool. I really thought it was going to be like, I don't know what I thought was going to really happen because of this, but I think this was like a key moment for him to realize how he was going to get home and like he needed to be with his family. He can't just repair relationships with other versions of himself. And I think that's what the main takeaway was probably. And it was the needed ingredient to get home.
I think that's perfectly said, to be honest, Luke. And, when it comes to Max with the heart transplant, what can you do in your life if you're him to actually think you lived up to the fact that you're taking someone's heart, right? So I like that they still had the moment, but again, it's a teenage boy. He's always going to say, "Dad, what do you freaking know?" But at least he had that conversation. He said, "I love you." But I mean, we obviously got confirmed they're identical twins. We were wondering if that was true. So that actor got to play two roles. But yeah, it was a great scene, and I actually was going to text you guys this week because it came to me a theory after the episode, and I said, you know what? I don't know if it's even a thing. Whatever, I'm not going to go there. And then when this scene happened, I was so mad because I thought I was going to be right, and I was going to be like, guys, I swear to God, I was going to be
Yeah.
right. But I thought that when I was the one who brought up like we're going to see Max, right? We're going to have to see Max. Why would they talk about him unless we're going to see him, right? My second part of that theory that I was thinking of this week was going to be that once he sees Max, it's what triggers him to realize it has to be his memories, his feelings, his emotions, like the actual, okay, I have a unique scenario and in my world where we brought this up last episode. Me and my wife tell a story the exact same way. We have this remembrance tree. We have a son that passed away when he was young. All these together will bring me home. Now, obviously, that's not the answer and it doesn't matter. But when I saw that they met, I was like, oh man, is that really gonna happen? Like that? And I'm gonna like, but no, it was I thought that was a really, really strong scene. Joel Egerton, I know we're doing a lot of Jimmy Simpson talk, but Joel Egerton kills it in all these episodes as well. And this scene where he's talking to Danielle on the phone, and also out when he talks to Max, when he sees that when he says Charlie, and he's like, no, your other son, like Joel Egerton's acting when he's like realizing it's Max. Phenomenal work.
Yep.
Just there's so many things in the show you just can't imagine what it would be like to experience that moment. It's just so unbelievable. I just can't help but
play
think,
acting because you're right.
Yeah, yeah.
You have no idea what any human would be feeling in that moment. You're right.
Yeah, yeah. My last thought on this scene is again thinking about what kind of impact slash damage slash consequences they leave in their wake when they
Yes.
travel to these worlds and have this level of interaction with people in those worlds. Is that world's Jason never had that phone call.
Yeah.
That world's Jason never had this conversation with Max.
Right.
Maybe Max doesn't bring it up to him because of the way it happened and ended, but the phone call thing feels like he didn't come home and she was like, that was so nice of you to call me earlier, like all this stuff. And he'd be like, I did not call you.
Yeah.
So I guess that's
He's like, I was
something
actually with my side piece, and now
yeah. So we'll just have to see. I mean,
It's
not have to see. It's just something we have to accept, it seems, but it's kind of hard not to think about it sometimes.
It's funny that you say that was going to be my last piece too, just because it does show us a lot how damaging it could be. And you can have this conversation with Max where you think that, you know, you as OG Jason, it's lethargic and you're just feeling great because not, I don't want to say great, but you're actually getting to see your son grown up and getting to tell him you love him and that he can't be a failure in your eyes and all that kind of stuff. And you think you're making him feel better, and maybe you are. And then you walk out the door and say, like, oh, that was kind of nice, right? But Max could walk upstairs and walk past his dad in the hallway, and now all of a sudden he's going to an asylum or something, and you just ruined his life. You know, like anything could happen.
Yeah. And I do this because I love you, but I think the word you were looking for there was cathartic.
Yeah,
not
I know.
lethargic.
I said lethargic.
That was exo Jimmy 69.
That was like when I said Jake instead of Jason. I was like, I swear I didn't.
Yeah, and you tried to gaslight us, and then all the caption technology that we use and have access to was just.
I
Jake,
still
Jake.
don't think I said Jake, dude.
We ran the tapes. You lost. Okay, so this next scenes rather, are just the ones we've been waiting for. This was just for me, all caps. That's how you lock it the fuck in. Because he finally has this realization of what he needs to do and think about and describe. So he just describes everything that he remembers about the first time they met. He then talks about how this one quote is just something that I liked a lot, because I think it's something that people, I would say most people struggle with, especially maybe people our age, 20s, early 30s, hitting life for the first time really. And it's the imperfections of life that amount to a different kind of perfection. I just want to be home, back on the journey with this version of you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what he needed to think about, and just rips it. And I would be remiss not to mention that we get a rubber band glamour shot as he puts his hand on the thing as he says that, and then opens the door. So,
and name drops the episode too. This is where he brings up the metaphor of in the fires of dead stars, talking about just like how we're all just like basic atoms that came from the same spot. So it's just like, it was a very poetic moment, well written. This was like a calm before the storm of we're back bitches from the 100, right? Like he's about to get out there and like we're freaking here. You could tell the music was happening. It was happening. Like we all probably were like, I mean, it was the last amp. It was now or never. This was the moment that we've been building up to. And I can't believe we still have 8, 9, 10 left. Or no, just 8, 9. Oh, that's so sad. I'm in the House of the Dragon mindset, which
there's only 8 of those.
Yeah, that also is getting cut down for season 2 bullshit. But it's just crazy. 2 more episodes and like we're here. So 2 full episodes of everybody that we care about besides Ryan in the OG universe.
There's a Ryan, but not our Ryan. Yeah,
there is a Ryan. I was shocked that he admits, well, it's nice that he did, because he needs to be fully honest, but he says that he almost took that Jason's life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which was like, okay, wow. I didn't really expect them to acknowledge that so explicitly. So that was just, I thought, an interesting thing. And I love the environmental storytelling where we know it's the right world because we see the concrete. So it's not like we need to do the whole song and dance of like, is it the right world? Actually, like it's just, we just know immediately it's satisfying for us. And then it's also satisfying seeing him connect the dots.
Right.
And did you see It's a Wonderful Life was like on the cinema, which I think that's just like a parallel kind of moment of what happens. I've never seen that movie. So that's just what Alki was telling me.
Yes, it is a parallel. I've seen the movie a long time ago, and a lot of people have talked about it, just like basically saying it's like a new age version, sci-fi version of it. It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah. So that was
I was more distracted by the fact that he was just running in the middle of the street when, first of all, we saw him almost get hit by a car and die. Yeah. And second of all, pedestrian fatalities have been increasing in the United States for like the last decade and at the highest level in 40 years. So why are we promoting? I'm just kidding. But that's a full fact.
What I was going to say to that point, Kyle, is he's running and I'm just like, what are you going to do, dude? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? You going to run into this house and just be like, Jason, let's fly. Let's get it. Like, you got to think this through, man. You got to figure out how this is going to work out. Even when you go into the other world where he says, I'm going to take this Jason's life. What were you going to do it right there when he's laying in bed and wake Danielle up and see 2 Jasons? Just like we brought this up a million times. You got to think it through.
Yeah.
Yeah. He plays it pretty cool. He just steps in, or not steps in, but looks in through the back window. And this is where we have the connection from the last evil Jason we talked about, where he's kind of hesitating to go in the door, but we watch him walk through the door, from Jason's point of view. He sees the rat bastard for the first time since episode 1, and we're just kind of we're flying the wall, let's say, of this interaction where he tells her about the Ryan situation. And that's kind of, I don't really have much more than that, to be honest.
Me neither.
Yeah, I didn't think too hard into anything. The only thing that kind of was something worth mentioning was Charlie just kind of looks like concerned and maybe upset in general. He obviously has not recovered from. Well, he has physically, it seems, recovered from the allergy thing, but he is still pissed at him. I just love how earlier in the episode we didn't mention it, but he's like, "Well, how long are you guys gonna be mad at me?" It's like
he got saved. Literally almost saved his ass there.
Yeah, that's actually a great point. So this is the scene we've been waiting for to talk about, literally since my eyeballs laid eyes on it. A new challenger enters the arena, ? So we get the scene in the gun shop. Pinky brace, Jason, PBJ. I mean, what?
Love that.
I just thought of that off the top of my head.
Oh,
No,
my
you did
gosh.
not.
That
That
is
was
getting written
amazing.
down. Writing that down right now.
Let me just
PBJ.
dab on him real quick because that was pretty good. And yeah, that was a good way to start this off. This is going to be an interesting
my
conversation.
goodness.
Let me just put this out there that I am not a gun guy, but is this how normal interactions in a gun store just happen, where you can just tell this person is manic as hell? Like, I need defense. Like, what will that kill somebody? I was like, is this how? And she's like, oh, it'll kill somebody.
Yeah,
you want
and they
that
won't
knife,
get back
dude?
up.
That's a good knife for defense. I was like, what
Yeah.
is this? This sucks, dude. But anyway, that aside, this scene was.
He gets stopped. He didn't have the proper identification.
Yeah. Okay, but the saleswoman was a little freaking me out. Like, she was like, "Yeah, take all the guns you want. Just give me the ID and you're good."
Well,
She's like, "You want a
Illinois does have very strict gun laws, so
that's good. I guess.
I
worked here.
Right. I know nothing about any of that. Just like you said, Luke. In other shows, when they're trying to do that, usually the person will say, like, "What are you trying to do here?" And they'll say, like, "Hunt" or something. And use it in a different way. Yeah, exactly. Not like home defense is not even that bad of a thing to say. But I was joking. I was like, kill a guy? Like, is that what you're trying to get at, Jason?
He's like really wants the gun and is like upset he has to pivot off of it. And B and H were thinking the same thing. It's like, I can't believe that. Like you said, like the salesman just completely shifts. Like, okay, yeah, we got like million Scoville unit pepper spray. Like, you can fuck some people up with this shit. Let's go.
And then it really is, though. Like, you're not weirded out at all about the whole scenario when you're her, but also he's like, pepper spray, and then he's like, nice. She's like, great choice. Great choice.
Funny. She's like, how's that feel? He's like, it feels like a gun.
Yeah.
He just nervously laughed. That's pretty funny.
The actual things that happen on screen are like irrelevant, right? He gets the mace and a knife, he walks out, and then PBJ walks in. PBNJ or PBJ?
I like PBJ, baby.
Yeah, PBJ.
PBJ walks in, and me and Dave and Alki at first were watching this scene, and I was just thinking, oh, like Evil J almost just ran into him for a second. And then like I thought about it for a second. He has a gun. We've seen him have the gun. And then the pinky gets brought up. And then like he's wearing the same clothes as OG Jason. And then like we collectively just started looking at each other like, what the hell just freaking happened? That just like felt like it just changed. It's like the end of Mistborn book 1. Just changes the entire, that's a little deep cut there, but it just changes your entire thought of what's going on in this world. I'm just mind blown. I can't even put into words of like what the hell is going on here, because she goes, "Oh, do you have a twin?" Like that was like a what the hell kind of moment. And he runs out, can't find him. So that's just going to be so fun when they all converge, probably on the house. But like, are these two Jasons going to be on the same side?
Yeah. Well, it's also does he think it's his world and he went to go get a gun?
So that is exactly where I'm not going to say a problem, because I really do believe that Blake's going to land this plane, right? He's going to get it all figured out. And I'm sure it's a phenomenal book series and it's beloved for a reason. And this is in there, right? But we talked about it episodes ago. We were like, there's got to be more Jasons that we're going to see. And we did, because obviously we're seeing other worlds. There's a Jason laying in bed. There's a Jason dancing with Daniela, this kind of stuff. But I early on was like, thinking it was going to be Jason's just like talking to each other, right? And then by the time we got to this episode, I was like, there's no way you can do that. 2 episodes left. How are you going to explain this? Like, you're basically, in my head, PBJ means that there's a Jason. There's just infinite Jasons that are trying to get back to this world where they branch off. It's still this world's Jason, and they're still trying to get back to this specific world, but it's the flip a coin. Something happened and it branched off a million different ways.
Okay, really? So you think that both of these Jasons were at episode 1, they were the same person, and then
Yeah,
they've split over the
that's
course
where
of the
I'm at
season?
right now.
I wasn't thinking that. That's crazy too. I didn't even consider that.
So are you thinking that this is just a Jason coming to the wrong world, just like our Jason has gone to wrong worlds? Like
That-
PB&J?
I mean,
guess
that's
my
where I'm
brain's
leaning
not as big as
because
yours.
the broken pinky means that there's more than just like a 30-second ago convergent or divergence. Like something else happened way earlier in their history. I don't know how much earlier, but they have lived different moments up until this point so far back. So I don't know. I wasn't thinking that like this. I'm still right now on team that this is just OG Jason's world, and this is a third Jason from a completely different universe.
Luke, they're wearing the same clothes, man.
That's
true.
true.
The clothes change
Backpack.
throughout the episodes. He's wearing the Christmas sweater, the winter sweater, and then the last world is where he's wearing what she told him to wear, but he's wearing the I feel underdressed outfit, which is the outfit that he's wearing
coat.
now. Right. The pea coat, which is not even bad. The pea coat's pretty nice, you know?
Yeah, he looks good.
Yeah, he looked good. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, I can go either way, but the fact that they're wearing the same clothes, it just made me think that it's exactly what we were saying about the earlier episode where we saw the Amanda die, where that's technically them.
Yeah, they have the same story. That's a good point.
And it doesn't have to be 30-second difference. It could just be that somewhere at any time that Jason did something and it branched them off and he hurt his pinky, and that's the difference right now. Right?
Do you think he has a rubber band?
Dude, I paused like 5 times. I really do think he does. I swear. I was looking. I'm like, hey, Kyle, I'm on my cell phone watching this thing, man. I wish you guys would have did it for me. But it's very tough, especially on a cell phone, to see if it's a ring or if it's a rubber band. And it's definitely one or the other. There's definitely something on his ring finger, and I thought it was the rubber band.
God, dude,
that's why for me, I was like, this is a problem, because that means that there's unlimited versions of this Jason now trying to get home to this world.
And for that reason, I don't think it is.
Yeah.
Just for that reason. Because you're right.
Because you can literally just be like, it's going to be, I'm Jason. No, I'm Jason. No, I'm Jason. 50,000 million gajillion times. All talking to Danielle. I mean, like, it's me. Like,
I mean, hey, they could, I guess. I mean, it might not be a clean ending, but that seems technically within.
And not to complicate things further, but you're not looking at his finger every scene of this entire show. So there could be multiple episodes. Well, yeah, sure, but they don't show you. They don't show you his finger every scene.
Yeah,
so there could have been multiple spans of episodes. Like episode 5, there could have been like 2 or 3 scenes where we were following PBJ and not knowing the difference. Because if you're right, like where they have a similar pathway, we just don't know that. And that could also. This is tinfoily. Explain the snap, like the lack of snap at some points, because it wasn't going to our Jason, it was going to PBJ. But that's probably tinfoily.
If I'm right, then technically we are 100% watching PBJ at other times, because they are the same person until they're not.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's definitely.
I'm trying to look.
Yeah, dude.
I can't see the.
There's a scene when he says, he does.
The thing I'm trying to look is
pinky when she says you didn't have the pinky, kind of holds it up right before the end.
And PBJ has this cut on his nose that
I thought RJ has that cut.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to just confirm. Yeah. I think he does. Oh baby. Well, that was what he got probably from the initial kidnapping, right?
Yes. Now somebody did bring up on the YouTube comments something about time travel, right? And now, again,
I responded to that comment and was like, yeah, they confirmed it with the 3 hours ago scene of Amanda dying, but then we just actually talked about it this episode and confirmed that it wasn't actually technically time travel.
Right. So,
or is it still?
Adding another aspect of this kind of hard side, soft side, you know, it's superposition and it's time travel and it's also this and it's also that, makes it tough. But
you know what? I don't think it's time travel, and I'm sorry to cut you off, just because, like we said, it's the same time. It's just events have happened that have delayed them in that universe.
That's where I'm at, because originally I freaked out because I was like, there's a million Jasons and it's this Jason, a million versions, right? And that's still where I'm at. And then when I was trying to like think more and more as the scene's going on, and they're saying 30 seconds ago and all that kind of stuff, I was like, is he like, there's like a million things going through my mind before we saw the pinky, where I'm like, is this like he's accidentally like the time is getting screwed up and he's like reversing 30 seconds and redoing his actions? But then that's not true, obviously, because the pinky separates them. But I just couldn't think of anything else. And it could easily be another Jason from another world thinking he came to his world just like OG Jason has. But the clothes thing is what's kind of freaking me out here.
And then what's the what would be the difference between the two of them? You know, where if he's in the wrong world, so say it's not the same Jason that got branched off at some point while we were watching and we didn't realize it. If it's truly like a completely separate Jason, then why does he think this is his world? What's the one thing that makes it different?
And the other thing,
I don't know.
The other thing and I'm trying to make this not bad podcasting, because I'm sorry we keep cutting each other off and I'm doing it the worst, but because I'm just like, it's coming out of I'm just spitting it all out.
Well, you're saying things and I'm like, oh, okay, now I have thought.
But the thing is, the weird thing about it too is that they had the same exact action, right? Like if it's two different Jasons, like our Jason and our Amanda, say it's like the Jason from the Daniela world that was laying in bed and somehow he wants to go somewhere else, right? What makes you decide it's going to be, I'm walking into this store, I want to say the same exact thing, freak this lady out? Like, that's why for a second I thought time travel, but the only other explanation that I have is it's just the same Jason, so he'll make the same. I know they're all the same Jason, but the fact that it was like an exact replica is what's freaking me out.
Yeah, I have nothing productive to add. Which this is just I have never felt so lost, but not lost in a bad way, like lost, like what the hell's going on? Like, this is the most unpredictable thing that happened the entire show, where we just there's nothing we could have seen. I guess there probably are some hints, probably in hindsight, but nothing that we talked about that would have led me to believe that this is possible for it to be like a
I will say watching this scene like this is probably the first time that I've had this feeling since watching Dark, where it's just like,
I love that.
Oh my gosh. And then an episode ends, just that completely mind blown. The whole game has been changed. I thought these were the rules. Now these are the rules. How is this going to impact everything type of deal? And that's just an absolutely beautiful place to be.
It's tough because we could talk for an hour about possibilities and what's worth talking about and what's not. But there could be a scenario where we thought we were following the protagonist and it's not even the right Jason the whole time or something. And which would be weird, because you're supposed to get to know the Jason that you want to win. I mean, there could be a story here where they're saying, hey, he screwed up the world or he screwed up the multiverse, and it's just not a happy ending. And there is going to be, he literally screwed up the multiverse and there's just a million Jasons and they can't fix it. I don't know. I really don't.
Yeah. I cannot wait to find out.
Yeah.
They're going to have to interact. They're going to have to interact.
Yeah.
As soon as you show Danielle, if Daniela sees them, it's over, right? How do you explain it? How do you explain it to a normal person?
PBJ and OG Jason are dapping each other up when they see each other, and they can talk it out for a second, because as soon as they realize they're not evil, unless OG Jason kills him first, which would be crazy, thinking he's evil Jay.
Yeah, I'm on team that. I'm on team they're bros.
Yeah, they're gonna be boys.
But then what are they gonna say? Which one gets to live here?
Well, then Jason will just kill PBJ. First of all, we're gonna take out Evil Jay.
Yeah. It'll tag team against Evil Jay, and then the J number 4 comes in 5 and 6 and 7, and
Hey,
and
man,
then,
you never know.
And
This
then
could
Jason
be...
just turns into Jason Bourne, and then we realize we're actually in a Bourne film, and then he's the sleeper
Or
cell.
what this could be is it ends up being where Daniela just now has 2 husbands, and she's the one that wins in the end. You know, she's got 2.
That'd be
You
wild.
know,
She gets
And
wow.
Charlie loses because now he has 2 dads and a mom, and that's just an extra parent level of surveillance, which probably is annoying.
Yeah, he can't sneak out to hang with his girl.
dude, date nights are gonna be wild in that household.
Yeah. Oh man.
Oh man, that again, I could talk about this forever. And Blake did say, he tweeted and he said, if you've been liking Dark Matter, the game, Kyle, is going to be changed. Like it's going to blow your mind at the end of episode 7, and it has. And the biggest thing for me is, if I'm right, my worry was that how are they going to clean this up? Maybe the answer is it doesn't get cleaned up and it's not clean for an ending, but we thought it was going to be a happy ending for our Jason. But he's been nailing it so much that I just am excited.
And
I'm
for the
excited
record,
to see what's next.
I'm still on it. There's gonna be a happy ending for OG Jason.
Yeah. I can see Evil Jay explaining like the box project to Daniela and being like, oh my God, it seems like other Jasons are invading. Like he's selling it that he's still her Jason and is going to like, protect them from the other Jasons. I could see that because he's a little.
So they make like a safe word and then he knows it, but then OG Jason doesn't because they had this conversation.
Yeah.
Then they're
then
screwed.
the rubber band, baby.
It's just it just leads to, it's just so messy. I can't figure out how these Jasons can exist, and Daniela could pick the right I mean, okay, there could be the nice sweet moment where they say their remembrance tree line together, and then that's how they know.
She's gonna know. She's gonna know.
But it's, man, it's gonna be wild, and I can't wait.
She's gonna know. The heart knows what.
What are we gonna watch right after this? My goodness.
I'm about to smoke some fools and some volleyball first.
Oh yeah.
I might be smoking something else before I watch this.
Say less. All
right, guys.
XO Jimmy 69. Let's
go. XO Jimmy 69, who is feeling very lethargic right now. I'm feeling lethargic about OG Jake. And guys, we appreciate every single one of you guys listening and watching. If you want some more Bingetown TV, like I said in the intro, we're going to be covering The Boys, House of the Dragon, probably just a season recap of The Bear.
Yeah,
we have a lot of.
Maybe important to add that it's not this group of the 3 of us doing all of that. There's 4 other hosts, Bingetown, so we'll be.
You guys love Luke and Kyle. Check out House of the Dragon.
Yeah. If you guys don't like us,
if you guys don't like them, check out The Boys. If you like all of us, check out all of our pods, because I will be a free agent. I'll be jumping on back and forth whenever I'm needed. I was on Shogun. I'm on this, obviously. I'm going to be kicked to the bench for a little bit. Bingetown TV does have 7 members, and Kathleen, she's coming back off the bench, and she is a juggernaut. She's one of our favorites, so we are excited to have her back. So
top 7.
Yeah. Easy
of the 7. All right, guys. Like I said, if you like what you heard, check us out at bingetowntv.com, or just go to bingetowntv.com/podcast. That'll pop up all of your podcast apps, and you can just click your favorite one, listen to us there, hit that subscribe button. If you're watching us on YouTube, please hit that like and subscribe button. We appreciate every single one of you guys. Join our Discord. It will be in the description. We're going to keep shouting you guys, because like Kyle said, this is the most fun, and this is the most interaction we've gotten in a long time. A lot of the shows we get plenty of interaction, but we brought this up in episode like 1 of Dark Matter. These sci-fi shows where there's so much theory to talk about, it's our bread and butter. It's what we love. So keep bringing them, and we'll keep shouting you guys. We'll keep hitting you up. If you comment, we'll comment back. We won't miss anybody unless we accidentally miss it. Hit us up again, because we're not doing it on purpose. Otherwise, we will see you next week for episode 8. It's going to be wild. Blake, if you're listening, we love you. This has been awesome.
Yeah.
Once again, we are Bingetown TV, and thank you so much for listening.